Look at this environment. Heavy, dark water steadily drips down the face of deeply fractured ancient stone. The dampness and isolation are pervasive. When humans encounter environments with high-risk parameters like this, we naturally stop at the perimeter. This is a biological imperative known as survival hesitation. This neurological map shows how the brain processes these acute threat indicators. Sensory inputs like unnatural silence and visual decay bypass the prefrontal cortex entirely, triggering a direct, flashing threat response in the amygdala. When an explorer stands in the dark and whispers, "I'm not sure about this place," they aren't making a conscious calculation. That internal monologue is a physical symptom of this neurological alarm system going off. Pausing at the edge of the dark is a biological defense mechanism functioning exactly as intended. The environment itself validates that alarm. The ruined, cracked pillars holding up this space are heavily compromised. This vector physics diagram illustrates the mechanics of the danger. After centuries of moisture and elemental exposure, immense gravitational weight presses down on asymmetrical columns, creating severe load-bearing stress and imminent failure points. The physical space constantly broadcasts the threat of crushing collapse, feeding a loop of psychological tension. Simply standing in this environment requires immense cognitive load. The brain is shouting at the muscles to retreat, and the explorer has to actively suppress that barrage of signals every second. The barrier preventing exploration is an internal cognitive wall built by the instinct for self-preservation. Then, an anomaly breaks the baseline tension. A sudden, violent spark of jagged blue lightning arcs across the dark, negative space between the wet walls. This event triggers a curiosity override. A highly novel, unexpected stimulus momentarily short-circuits the biological fear response. The immediate verbal reaction, "What was that?" is the sound of the brain frantically attempting to categorize an impossible piece of data. Looking at this line graph, we can see exactly when the shift happens. An intense spike in adrenaline and curiosity inversely crosses the plummeting survival instinct. Pupils dilate to gather light, chemically preparing the body for forward pursuit rather than backward retreat. The anomaly forces a strict binary choice: remain safely in ignorance or step directly into the hazard to resolve the mystery. The choice is verbalized, "Let's check it out," and the explorer crosses the threshold, stepping physically into the volatile electrical zone. This cross-section schematic of the ruin floor reveals the hidden mechanics of the space. Invisible underground moisture connects fragmented metal deposits, forming active, localized electrical traps. As the data overlay shows, these electrical discharges follow a predictable frequency dictated by the ambient moisture levels. Navigating this space requires absolute focus. They must carefully measure their pace, stepping between the timed hazard zones. Progressing through the ruins requires transforming raw, paralyzing fear into calculated analytical risk management by mastering the environment's lethal mechanics. Arriving at the epicenter of the ruins triggers total sensory overload. The architectural decay and the lightning sparks are highly concentrated here, aggressively strobing in the narrow, dark corridor. Here, the brain achieves information resolution, a neurological reward dispensed when it successfully identifies the source of an unknown threat. Seeing the physical source of the anomaly neutralizes the primal terror of the unknown. The threat is no longer a mystery, it's a set of observable variables. The explorer who was once paralyzed at the perimeter is now standing at the volatile core, managing the situation through observation. Reaching the core of the ruin marks the exact threshold where the unknown becomes the known. This specific choice to move toward the spark rather than away from it reflects a broader cognitive pattern. We solve problems by replicating this exact sequence, acknowledging the hesitation, identifying the anomaly, and choosing to investigate the mechanics. This is the fundamental way we update our understanding of a hostile environment. Look at this composition. Without the curiosity override, the silhouette remains in the circle of light. The void remains a source of constant threat because its mechanics are never mapped or understood. Reaching the epicenter shows us that moving through the hazard is the only way to resolve the fear it creates. Gathering data requires stepping into the dark.